Take a breath with me. Not a deep one, not a perfect one, just enough to notice that you're here. If your mind has been avoiding things lately, even things you care about, you might be telling yourself a familiar story. That you're procrastinating, that you're falling behind, that you should be more disciplined than this by now. And quietly, underneath all that noise, there's a heavier thought you might not say out loud. What if I'm just not capable anymore? That thought hurts. And it's not true, because avoidance isn't where the problem starts. It's where the nervous system tries to protect you, when your life has felt like a series of demands without enough recovery. Your mind learns something important. Effort no longer feels safe, so instead of moving forward, it pauses. Instead of engaging, it pulls back. Not because you don't care, but because caring has started to feel expensive. You might notice how your body reacts before your thoughts. Even catch up, a tight feeling when you think about starting. A sudden urge to scroll, clean, nap, or disappear for a while. A sense of resistance that doesn't feel logical but feels strong. That's not weakness. That's your system saying, I don't trust what happens if we push. Your mind remembers the pressure, the expectations, the feeling of being measured, evaluated, or rushed. And when pressure becomes constant, the brain stops asking what should I do next? It starts asking, how do I stay safe? Avoidance is often the answer to that question. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of motivation. It's a short-term relief strategy. When you avoid, your nervous system gets a moment of quiet. The threat eases. The tension drops just a little, and your brain learns very quickly that avoidance works. The problem isn't that you're avoiding. The problem is that you've been living in conditions where avoidance feels like the only way to breathe. And then shame enters the picture. You judge yourself for not starting. You compare yourself to who you used to be. You add self-criticism, hoping it will push you forward. But shame doesn't create movement. It creates more pressure. And pressure is exactly what your mind is already trying to escape. So the cycle continues. The more you blame yourself, the more unsafe effort feels. The more unsafe effort feels, the more your system pulls away. Not because you're broken, but because you're human. Here's what matters to understand. Your mind didn't choose avoidance to sabotage your life. It chose it to manage overload. At some point, your system decided that slowing down, delaying, or stepping back was better than forcing yourself through more stress. That decision was made out of intelligence, not failure. When you see avoidance through that lens, something softens. You stop treating yourself like a problem to fix, and start treating yourself like a system that needs support. Because clarity doesn't come from pressure, it comes from safety. When your nervous system feels less threatened, your mind naturally becomes more curious, more flexible, more willing to engage. Motivation returns quietly, not dramatically. Not as a sudden burst of discipline, but as a gentle sense of, maybe I can look at this again. That's how real momentum works. It's not forced. It's allowed. You don't need to fight your avoidance to move forward. You need to understand it. And understanding doesn't mean giving up. It means changing the conditions that made avoidance necessary in the first place. You are not behind, because your mind slowed down. Your mind slowed down because too much was asked of it for too long. And right now, the most powerful thing you can do isn't to push harder. It's to reduce the pressure that made pushing feel dangerous. You still have agency. You still have intelligence. You still have choice. None of that disappeared just because you needed to protect yourself. You're allowed to take your time returning to yourself. You're allowed to move at a pace that feels respectful instead of punishing. Nothing about your worth is on the line here. Avoidance isn't the end of your progress. It's a signal that progress needs a different environment. One with less fear, less urgency, more permission to be human. You don't need to decide anything right now. You don't need to fix this moment. Just notice that your mind has been trying to help you survive something difficult, and that means you're not broken. You're responding. Stay here for a moment longer. Let the pressure ease just a little. There's no rush. You're allowed to arrive back into clarity slowly. Silence can hold that for you.